That's great. And Tapi, would like to hear from you from a corporate standpoint, right? So while some employees can't wait, in order to go back to the office 5 days a week. I've still got to meet those. I haven't come across any of those yet, but others are hoping for this new work from home, all the time reality, that becomes permanent. And yet there is a third group that's desiring like a hybrid model, right? The work from home and in the office. So, given these competing desires, Toppy would love to hear from you on how managers can create spaces and places that ensure collaboration amongst all these groups.
Mhm,
Should leaders dictate that one approach is better than others,
mhm.
or give employees the power to choose how they'd like to work?
That is like a super, super layered question. And I think it's so cool. I think if anything, the pandemic has taught us is that this whole dictated, you're only productive in the office, and this idea of work-life balance, it's like a rumor. It's not real anymore. It doesn't necessarily work and make sense. And actually, when I think about it, especially from in the context of Kraft Heinz, I like to think of the three modes of work. I like to think of the idea of, there's the collaborative self where, I have to work with my colleagues, and there's an objective that I'm trying to achieve with other internal and external stakeholders. There's this deep work focused, independent, very objective, but independent, let's say, independent realm that you would be in. And then the third one is this idea of like an innovative, and hear me out when I'm putting innovation in its own category here. There's this idea of like being creative, innovative, and inspired. And I think we have to rethink what the workspace is here to achieve now. The reality is, I think most people may feel more productive. I mean, pre-COVID, you'd have those days where you work from home and you think, oh my goodness, this was the one day that I actually got work done because I was free from distraction and I was able to focus and really achieve an objective that I tried to achieve. For me, I like to call that deep work, focused work. And the reality is that tends to operate better on an independent solo basis. There's a lot of research that suggests the same. For me, how I would say the office space should be more of a collaborative space. Therefore, it's not like we collaborate 100% of our time, right? So to Rick's question earlier, for me, that's how I would think about rethinking the office space. It should be more of this collaborative, malleable space that can achieve the technology is there to allow people to achieve whatever objective that they need to achieve in that time. People should be given the freedom to do that independent, deep work time, and that can be at home, but I also appreciate that not everybody has the appropriate home setup. And I can imagine a world where the office space has these location or these pods. I've seen some really cool concepts around that for people to focus on that deep work. And then innovation and creativity. I love the poll earlier about where are you? You actually can work as you walk. I when I want to do most of my creative work, I take the dog out and I put my earphones in and I will just walk through the parkland, which is what I loved about what you said about your park. I'll go to Lincoln Park and I came up with some of the best ideas looking at parks, looking at trees and thinking, how do trees share information? Well, how do I replicate that for employees? So to answer your question, I think managers should be cognizant of the fact that, we don't need to manage by observation. People should feel autonomy, they should feel empowered, and they should be purpose driven. And we should be able to create the spaces that permit people to be effective in whatever objective they need to achieve. And I'm really going to push this, but the technology also needs to be able to support that. The technology allows for the scalability and it removes the human error and it allows information to be shared in a seamless manner. It would be cool if like architects and technologists worked hand in hand to rethink what the vacant space in Chicago could look like and also in subsequent locations.
And to that point on the vacant space, Toppy, right? I recently read Crane's Chicago Business article that actually projected about 17% of retail space on the Magnificent Mile that may actually end up vacant in 2021.